Hello, everyone. Hello. Thank you all for joining. Hello, hello. Today we're going to talk about the art of letting go. I'm just waiting on Amina to come on. Hi. Hey, Amina. Yay. Today is going to be an amazing conversation, and I'd love for you guys to chime in. Hey, Amina.
Hi.
Hi. Peace, Jules. So today is going to be a very interesting conversation. This one comes close to heart, right, Amina? Because letting go is something that we all struggle with.
Yes.
So um, I would love to give some advice. Definitely have your take on it. Definitely answer some great questions that we might have today. Yes, Jules, he is nursing. I know you hear him. He's been at it for a while. Um, So, yeah, it's going to be a very interesting conversation today. How are you doing tonight, by the way, Amina?
I'm very good. I'm excited about today's topic. Actually, looking forward to it myself.
Me too.
So, yeah. So how's your week so far?
It's been good. Back to the store today. Very long day. Um, it's only long because I have my little one with me, but
Yes.
other than that, it was a productive, beautiful day.
Awesome. Great. Everybody's coming in. Nice. Welcome, guys.
Welcome, welcome. Yes, Sierra, this is going to be a great topic. And please chime in if you have a question or if you're confused about what we're about to talk about. Um, Amina, you wanted to do something real quick before we started?
Yes, before we start, I wanted to first of all welcome everyone to, well, I did not know if I missed that part. Welcome to Wellness Wednesday. And just before we delve into our amazing topic of the art of let it go, I just wanted to take a minute just to honor a young man. He's a 10-year-old entrepreneur and he designed this t-shirt. I'm not sure if you could see it. It's a t-shirt and it's his first design and it is to commemorate our 42nd independence, our country's independence. And we just wanted, he has cerebral palsy and it does not stop him from going after his dream. He wants to be a YouTuber and he's very actively pursuing his dreams and his mom is allowing him to do that and providing with opportunities to do that. So we just wanted to take an opportunity to plug in Liam, get his t-shirt, and you could get his t-shirt at Liam's underscore world one on Instagram. So go ahead and let's support Liam and his t-shirt and wear it proudly this independence next week on the 22nd of February.
Cool. I will check it out. Jackie, we're going to be talking about the art of letting go.
Awesome.
So without further ado, let's get into it. So when
Cool.
people hear the art of letting go, some people feel as though it's complete and utter um, cancellation of either a person, a thing, or a situation, when in fact it's not necessarily all of that. Um, Letting go is part of forgiveness. There's a lot of pieces to it. There's time that needs to be taken into account with it as well. Sometimes people feel that forgiveness is hard, especially because they feel as though they've let their guard down. Sorry, little one just
He's hungry.
baby as well, Jackie. He's right here. Hello. Uh Father,
Please,
can you please come get him?
we saw a sneak peek. Hi, Daria. Welcome, Glow Holistic Experience. This is Liam's mom, everyone. Say hi to Liam's mom. Hi, Daria.
So sorry about that. So yes, back into the letting go. So forgiveness is a huge piece of the entire thing. Um, Forgiveness is more for you. It's not for the other person. Um, and that's something that everyone needs to understand. When you're forgiving the person for yourself, you're allowing yourself to heal. You're allowing yourself to not allow it to happen again, and you're creating a healthier boundary for others who might do something that triggers that experience that happened to you. Do you want to chime in, Amina?
Sure, of course, absolutely. I agree with everything that you've said. And it is so important for us to, as you rightly say, to see forgiveness as something that you do. It's an act of self-love, actually. And and you know, we always put forgive and forget in the same bracket, and I disagree with that forgive and forget philosophy. I believe that some experiences you go through, you could never forget, and there are lessons that came into your life, so you can't forget pivotal and important lessons that come to change you or make you better. So I agree with you. A big, huge part of letting go is the act of forgiveness and doing it not only for you to let go of the person or the circumstances that have caused you the pain or whatever you try to let go of, but also, as you said, for yourself, for the healing of your soul, and for you to take back power, take back your personal power in the situation so you could feel a sense of accountability so that you can move on with your life.
The accountability part for some might find it a little bit difficult because they feel like, hey, that person triggered me, that person did it, you know. I saw someone post earlier that it was kind of entertaining to me that taking the high road is too much. There's too much traffic there. And I thought that was hilarious. I peed my pants when I saw that. But in fact, there's not a lot of people are taking the high road. A lot of people rather be petty, and they feel like being petty kind of gets them a edge or a bit of if you do something to me, I get to do something to you. And this tit for tat mentality kind of goes back and forth and no one wins, you know? An eye for an eye leaves everyone blind. There's no, foresight or future in that. So being petty does not work. Um, so taking the high road kind of if you feel like you're constantly doing it, you might need to change your surroundings. One, you might need to change your language as well, because sometimes our language keeps us in a hole or keeps us stagnant versus propelling us to the next phase of our lives. So constantly saying, oh, I'm always doing this or I'm always doing that and nobody else sees it or whatever. Maybe the nobody seeing it is the surrounding or the the people that you're around versus you allowing yourself to see something better, new, letting go of what you thought was for you, inviting what could be for you, and seeing a new perspective altogether.
No, absolutely. And I think a huge part of the whole tit for tat thing is the ego. And a big part of letting go is also letting go of a lot of your ego. And that is the reason why we want to remain right and cannot take accountability, even for, and when we say, we have to maybe define what taking accountability mean
Oh yeah.
in order. Yeah, because some people misinterpret taking accountability for taking on blame. When you say you take accountability, it's not the same as saying you blame yourself for what has happened or the circumstances under which you found yourself. We're not talking about blame. We're talking about accountability in the sense that you understand from a higher perspective everything that is happening around you and understanding that you have control over it. And when you start to understand even the people or the circumstances that brought pain into your life, somehow you contributed to that happening, either because you do not have the knowledge for you to understand how to set boundaries in order for people to stop trampling on your personal space, or you went through a traumatic experience and you were not equipped to deal with the circumstances. All of those reasons, even if they were not your fault, for you to be able to heal the thing that is hurting you the most, what are you going to do? Remain in your pride and say, you know what, I am going to remain prideful and this person wronged me, I don't care. This is not going to serve you. So you have to let go of the ego and say, listen, in the end, by holding on to the grudge, you are still giving people and things outside of yourself power and authority over you and over your behavior. You are still being reactionary. You are not being proactive. You are not the one saying, you know what, I'm not going to allow anything to trigger me anymore. I don't care what it is. And that's what we mean by taking accountability, not taking blame. That's a big difference.
Definitely. And the ego is something that we spoke about intuition last week. Sometimes the ego is so loud that we don't allow ourselves to truly heal and truly forgive. So, with forgiveness, not a lot of people know there's 7 steps to it. So
Wow.
I know we didn't tell everyone to get notes out, but or get a paper and pen, but I will definitely list out some of the 7 steps, and I do teach this on a one-on-one basis or in a group setting. But I feel like tonight, especially because we just had Chinese New Year, if you guys are celebrate or don't. There was a new moon, and full moon is coming in a couple weeks or whatever, and I definitely want to go through the 7 forgiveness steps, because it's a everyday process. It doesn't all happen in one day, and it takes time, especially if you're not ready to forgive or let go or whatever. You should definitely try to work on some of these steps so that you could feel better in the long run.
I have my notebook already.
Everyone's getting their notebook. Okay, cool. Good. Perfect. Um, because when giving this information makes everyone a better person. So if I have to give it all, take it, please, and share it with anybody else who might need this. So
And
number
before we
one,
just
sorry?
want to give a shout out to Idaho Potato said this is exactly the live that she needed to hear tonight. And some other people are saying that, they're really enjoying the live. So I just wanted to acknowledge that. And they're having their book and their pen. Everybody's ready. So
Yeah,
let's go.
jot this down. Jot this
Let's go.
down. So number one, when it comes to forgiveness, you have to be non-judgmental.
Oh boy.
What does that mean? So non-judgmental is not taking blame on your part and not putting blame on the other person's part. And for instance, let's say, you have a friend that constantly does something wrong or whatever, and one day you just had it, right? You can't take blame for allowing that situation to constantly happen to you because that person needed someone, and you can't put a blame on that person because everyone's letting this person do this. So, and no one's, stepped up or explained to that person they're constantly doing this, whatever. So the non-judgment part comes into play where you allow for yourself to not put the blame on yourself and not put the blame on the other person, and see it with a brand new pair of eyes, outside looking in. The
No.
second, sorry?
No.
The second part of forgiveness is patience. Giving time and effort to the situation. If you feel as though you don't have any time or patience, then it's not time to forgive that situation.
Wow. I agree with that
And
100%.
one thing about the 7 steps to for forgiveness, if you can't do all 7, move on to another thing. Because you have to be able to do all 7 in order to fully heal from a situation. If you can't do all 7, then I'm sorry to tell you, you're still going to hold that grudge. And if you say you're not a type of person that holds grudges, the ego thinks differently. So
So, so those steps can be used as a litmus test to see how far you are in the forgiveness
yes,
process.
yes, definitely, definitely. Number three, I'll go back to so patience, Jackie. Basically, with patience, you need to be able to give it time. So if you can't give a situation time to really fully process what just happened to you, because it could be traumatic, and letting go of something is a trauma-based experience that you need to fully envelop yourself into understanding why it happened to you, what you're going to do moving forward, and how not to let it happen to you again.
Yes.
So, with that, you have to give yourself time to breathe through it, experience, understand the experience you went through, and figure whether or not you can give yourself that breathing room.
No, absolutely. And just to chime in, Jackie, for the patient's bit too, for me, especially when, as Judith said, it's something that's traumatic that you're healing. The way that I try to be patient with myself because I was so hard on myself, especially when I really wanted to get over something or someone, and you get triggered every time you hear the person's name or every time you in the same circumstances, you're like, I want to get over this already. It's just too painful. And sometimes we push ourselves to the point where we become grudgeful and we start blaming ourselves again. We get into that vicious cycle. So I completely get the point of being gentle with ourselves too. We are so, and also a big part of forgiving others, the process is a part of forgiving ourselves too. It comes hand in hand. I realize that when we're going along. Somebody asked, what about if the person continues to do things intentionally? How much patience should you have with this process?
Well, that's up to you. All things are possible. So when we spoke last week about intuition, we definitely spoke about letting people into our space and whether or not they're meant to be there. You know, so if that person's intentionally constantly doing this, you need to figure out whether or not this person adds value to your space and time or not. And if you're allowing something, that's a boundary you need to check. That's a
Yes,
boundary you need to administer, like, hey, this is what I'm allowing and this is what I'm not allowing anymore. So you need to be able to voice your concerns to this person. And if they're not accepting or understanding, because sometimes you can say something to someone, if it's not settling or resonating with them properly, then you need to just do what you need to do and allow
yes,
space. So with the space, that's with patience as well. You need to give yourself that time to, like, reevaluate your situation and move on.
yes. Because okay, I believe to letting go is the cutting off, especially in a case like this, especially if you have evaluated your boundaries and you're like, okay, I have proper boundaries, they're strong enough, but this person is still forcefully trying to, get into that space and everything else. Okay, go ahead, Judy, if you're about to say something.
If you feel as though someone's forcefully trying to get your attention, that's you still not that's them not respecting your boundaries, but that's also you not honoring your boundaries. You
Hmm.
need to honor your boundaries when you set them. It's like some boundaries could be a line drawn in the sand and someone can literally smush it, or a boundary
Yeah,
is literally you putting a door with a lock and saying,
right.
I'll unlock this door when you realize and accept the boundaries that I've, set forth. And if
Oh,
you
I throw
don't,
away the key. I just throw away the key,
don't
period.
throw the key away, I mean, then you get locked in. And then you
Right.
turn it to another situation.
You get yourself into a prison because you threw away the key, you no longer have control over it. I like that. Now, Jackie is saying that she just ignores. I don't talk to them about it. I just ghost them.
Which works. I mean, if that works for you, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
But do know that some people come back like thorns. Um, So every situation, please take note that every situation is different. So, I mean, I have a few more steps to go through. We only got through two, but
Okay.
yeah, definitely with the patience part, like it takes a lot. It takes a lot. Um, Number three, going into it with a beginner's mind.
Mm.
So seeing yourself outside of the situation with no ego, right? Um, I've had situations with I'm a business owner, so I've had situations with customers and I've had situations with vendors and I've had situations with other people, and sometimes I get screwed or um, something just happens, right? And I look at it from a beginner's mind where I'm like, okay, if I had done this differently, not putting blame on anything, right? We're not putting blame here, but if I had done XYZ differently, would this have happened? Or, if I had pushed this back a little bit, or if I didn't, rush into something, or if I had hesitated or not hesitated, or if I ate that day or whatever, you know what I mean? Um, Definitely not playing the victim as well, but definitely looking into it with a mediator's mind and saying, okay, how can I look at this in a different light?
No, you're absolutely right. I think practice mindfulness, that has helped me a lot. Because I practice mindfulness and I stay in the moment, it helps me to, my observational skills have increased tremendously. So when I am dealing with circumstances or especially combative situations, I'm learning, as you said, to stand outside of the situation and observe the surroundings and also to observe energy. A lot of times we deal with people and we only look at things at face value, but they're saying so much more with their energy. And as you said, having that beginner's mind or that fresh perspective where you're not present in the combat, you're not present in the negative energy, but taking that step back and saying, you know what, let me watch the entire situation so that I, as somebody say, to self-control. And that's one of the things mindfulness does give to you, a sense of self-control where you are not reacting to your situation and having that beginner's mind, as you said, that you are looking things from a different perspective and more from a higher perspective instead of being right there in the conflict and trying to solve it from that perspective.
Definitely. That's perfect. Yep. Number number
Oh,
four, trust.
oh,
And I hesitated when I said that because can you trust yourself and or can you trust the other person or the situation again?
that's the biggest part, honestly.
Now, when I said in the beginning of this, if you can't do all seven steps, you should move forward, Jackie had the right, mindset, just drop it all together. However, sometimes that situation or something like that might come test your patience again, right? So can you trust yourself to react differently? Can you trust the situation not to take over your entire, mood or your entire livelihood? Because some past events could trigger you so much that you might fall into depression, and you can't get out of bed, you can't do anything for yourself, and woe it's me. It can go
Ooh,
to a very depressing state. So, can you allow yourself to trust? Can you allow yourself to be um, vulnerable again, but not mistreated? You know what I mean? So, number four is very tricky. And it's
you did.
tricky in the sense, yes,
Oh, go ahead. When you finish with that part, I just want to bring something. I don't hope it is was asking.
it's tricky in the sense that um, you might fall victim to self-pity, right? And
Mm-hmm.
um, you might feel unworthy, like this was so bad or this was so unforgivable that you can't allow yourself to be vulnerable again, which is not true. So truly healing with that trust aspect of that with these 7 steps will definitely prepare you for another situation. Some women, said girls, some women go through a traumatic relationship and feel like they'll never be able to love again. But with the trust aspect, you should see yourself being vulnerable again to love so deeply that
Yeah,
that situation showed you who not to love so deeply. That person needed you for that moment, but not for that lifetime.
absolutely.
So
Wow.
introspect, you know what I mean? So yeah, this is deep. This is deep.
It's
When
very Now, I do hope it's hitting a nail on the head there right now. She's asking, what if it is religious trauma? Talk about relationship trauma and all of this family. What about religious trauma? And this is something that we don't talk about very often, and how to go about healing that. Because a lot of us, especially being from a Christian background, we are taught, and a lot of our beliefs and our self-worth and who we are, our identities are so much ingrained in those beliefs. But when we go through certain trauma that we experience in the church or with church people or within certain church or religious communities, and a lot of times those types of trauma rock you, even an existential crisis because of those types of trauma, and it's serious, and it drives you into depression. It drives you in all kinds of negative directions that a lot of people do undermine and do not even talk about. So I think we should tie that into the act of forgiveness and trusting. How do you trust that again?
well, my favorite song is Losing My Religion. I don't know if you ever heard that song, but that song is whole. I love that song, Losing My Religion. And when you're born, you're given a few sets of teachers, right? You're given your parents, you're given
Yes.
school, and you're given religion, whatever that may be. And when you lose faith in something, that's what you, in essence, lose, right? You lose faith in something. So when you lose the faith in that, it doesn't mean that you can't go back to trusting another form of religion or creating your own, or finding something else that could replace that. Um, it could be, in essence, the teacher that you might have lost the faith or the hope in, and you can find a
Mhm.
new, um, you can find something brand new to replace that.
Okay.
But religion is so vast
Right.
and so it's kind of, that should be another live,
Yeah,
because we
we
could
should have a
definitely
on that.
we could definitely piece that into something larger. You know what I mean? There was another question. Um, Capricorns are good with dropping and moving on. I take each person and situation differently. Definitely. Religion is a very interesting subject, and we can get back to that.
Yes.
Number
Thinking about that.
number 5,
Yeah.
and this one might be a little confusing. It's called non-striving. So with
Yes.
non, sorry,
Yes.
you understand that piece, right?
Yes.
So non-striving, with that, it means you did the best you could. And chances are, whether you looked at it from a beginner's mind and there was no way to change the situation, as long as you don't feel as though, how do I put this? As long as you don't feel like you could have done better or the other person could have done better and the situation could have been a completely different situation, you could definitely heal from it, knowing that what happened is what happened.
Yes. My perspective on the non-striving is similar to the philosophy called Wu Wei. It's a Japanese philosophy, and it's basically is the art of letting go. That's what it really means. And Basically what you said, when you're in a situation, a lot of time we resist. And a lot of times when whatever we are resisting, that's exactly what we need to let go of. And I think when you talk about a non-striving is when we feel that need to let go, and other parts of us, whether it's the trauma, whether it's the comfort level, whether it's the fear of the unknown, we hold on to those same things and we resist the flow. We resist the flow of the change or the flow of forgiveness or that healing that wants to come into our lives because we're trying to force things to stay where they're supposed to be released and vice versa. So I think a lot of that comes with learning the art of allowing things to just fall where it may, especially when you've done everything within your power to change it. And you think also the person, even if the person hasn't done their part, it does not matter. As long as you've done your part, you can let go of it and stop like struggling with it.
Definitely. Definitely. That's perfect.
Yes. And I think McNeil Griffith says it's all about beginning to rely on the inner power rather than external. Exactly, our intuition, which we spoke about last week.
Sometimes with the non-striving and the trust, you don't necessarily need to ask permission from the other party because some of us get stuck on, oh, I need to get my closure from that person, or I need to, or I need to face this person and, I need to let them know or let them have it. You're doing it for yourself in essence. And journaling is such a huge part of this, you know what I mean? So if you can journal or write a letter to this person or about the situation and like really purge, you know what I mean? Purge in essence, all the hurt, the pain, and the anxiety that you felt towards the situation and let it go, like burn it somewhere. I love burning it, or
Yeah.
flushing it in the toilet, like I've mentioned last week. Really visually seeing it let go. You don't need that piece for the other person. You need that piece for you. And the trust and the non-striving kind of go hand in hand with the journaling portion because with that, there's no ego.
No.
And you can't lie to your journal.
Say that. That's exactly what I was about to say. And the thing is, the trust part of it too, with the journal, because you are writing your thoughts to yourself and you are going to burn it anyway, why not just be totally open and vulnerable and trust whatever you're feeling, to put it out there and then let it go. But we talk about journaling almost on every live so far. I think the next live should be about journaling because we make reference to it so much, and I think it would be nice to just talk about it moving forward when we talk about journaling. At least we've covered it. Somebody asked, "What number are we on?" We're on number 5. Maybe Judith, we should go over what we've
So,
covered so far.
so far, number 1 was non-judgment. Number 2 was patience. Number 3 was beginner's mind. Number 4 is trusting or trust. And number 5 was non-striving. So now number 6 is acceptance.
Oh.
With the with the acceptance portion, I know you're laughing. And definitely this is all mindfulness work. A lot of things that I do is from a mindfulness aspect, especially because I am a life coach. You have to meet someone where they're at. You can't force someone to be what they cannot be.
Yeah.
Some of us as women, especially if there are women watching this, we expect too much sometimes from people. Sometimes we don't expect enough. And with that expectation piece, we tend to lose ourselves. So we need to learn to accept wherever someone's at, meet someone where they are. Don't forcefully or forcibly try to change someone because trying to change someone, you're literally hitting your head against a brick wall and you're not going to get the results you're looking for. They might tweak a little bit. They might adjust a little bit. Adjustments are fine. Compromise in a relationship is fine. However, totally changing someone to what you want them to be is impossible. So accepting that a situation has happened, or accepting that people are going to be people, um, that's one piece of this whole forgiveness piece that you really need to learn to accept.
No, you're right. And a big part of the not accepting, as you were saying earlier, um, somebody said it's like with a smoker, they won't stop unless they want to.
They
No, you're
have to
absolutely
want to, yeah. Like with a situation like that, that person would have to want to. You can't force someone to stop what they're doing that gives them an outlet. For some people, smoking is um, a form of releasing their anxiety, whether it's
yeah.
nicotine or cannabis or CBD or whatever their vice is. So that's a form of them cooling down.
But even with you forcing your will or forcing somebody to do stuff, it's you again with your ego not wanting to let go of your ego, because it's only when you're in your ego, you have a huge ego, you always want to control everyone around you, control the circumstances, and tell people how and what they should be doing. But when you live without the ego or have a little less ego, when you deal with people, and again, because you practice mindfulness, you just get to a point where you just allow things to just be, because you realize the beauty of life, the beauty of when things happen, when you let go, you keep your hands off anyway, and let the universe and all of the magic happens. And somebody says, "No one is my project. I'm a full-time project."
Jackie, listen, we are all full-time projects, especially when we have our own lives to deal with. We can't be Mr. and Mrs. Fix It, It doesn't work like that.
It's
People are going to be,
exhausting.
it is exhausting. People are going to be who they want to be, whether they want to be in your circle or not, and trying to force that onto someone is unfair to you and it's unfair to them.
Oh, another part of the acceptance thing. Now, when you are like a very accepting person or non-judgmental person, and you allow, I guess, a lot of people space to be themselves. The question I'm asking, well, I had a question, but now it slipped my mind because it was the other way around. I was looking at it from a different perspective, but honestly, it slipped my mind, Judith. So maybe we can continue.
It'll come back.
Yeah.
Hopefully it'll come back. And number 7, the last part,
Okay.
the beautiful part. Guess what it's gonna be?
Acceptance. After acceptance.
You let it all go. That's number 7. Truly, without any hesitation, reservations, you truly let it go.
But how? Somebody will ask, okay, we let it go, but how? Do
You
we
have
do
to
a
do all
ritual?
7 steps. You have to do all 7 steps. So
Mhm.
you have the 7 steps, right? You write down on top, this is my situation, right?
Yeah.
Can
Hmm.
I, one, be non-judgmental in the situation? No? Okay, let's see if I can do the other 6. Do I have patience with this?
Yes.
Maybe. Beginner's mind. Can I? No, it's still too fresh. It's gonna take me a minute.
Yeah.
Trust. Can I trust? It was their fault or whatever. So go through all
Yes.
7 steps. If you cannot truly and honor those 7 things, then you're not ready to do all 7.
Wow. And then,
So Jackie, I love that question. How do you know you truly let it go? Where
yeah.
when that conversation comes up and you don't feel inclined to cry, punch the person in the face, or it doesn't provoke you to become outside of yourself. Losing your
Yes.
religion? Huh.
Yeah.
The point of that song is you be blacking out. So if you
Yes.
don't black out when the situation comes up or if someone brings it up to you, that's how you know you fully let it go.
No, absolutely. Stop being a trigger. and you stop, your heart stop racing when you hear it and stuff like that. You just become, better able. And also too, when you get to the point too where when you hear certain names or you go visit certain places and you almost forgot that you had the experience, that's when you know, like, only after you're like, but wait a minute, that did not even trigger me anymore. And you're like, I know for sure that I am over this. And that's a
Now,
great feeling, actually.
now with patience, right, and letting things go, it might take you, for some people, it might take a month. Some people, it
Yeah,
might take a week. Some people, it might take years. I
patient.
had a situation that I reflected on. It took me 4 years to forgive it.
Me too.
And when I say forgive it, I went through the 7 steps. I truly went through the 7 steps. And I saw myself outside of it. I saw myself within it. I saw myself uh, being able to trust again. And when I tell you I was able to let that go, doors opened in other ways that I did not foresee because I was still stuck in the situation where I was still dwelling on that traumatic experience. And believe you me, we're all human. Give yourself that time. Give yourself
Time.
that patience piece because without that, nothing will work, you know? Um, and you're going to keep hitting your head against this wall, and you're not going to see yourself outside of the situation without going through the steps. And sometimes we go and run to our friends and we tell them the situation. That person might not understand fully how to give you that advice. Use these 7 steps to truly understand what you're going through, and probably give this to your friends too so they can see themselves outside of the situation. Because if someone is constantly giving you the advice you want to hear without you doing the actual work, you'll never get out of that traumatic experience, and you'll never be able to forgive and let go.
No, absolutely. No, absolutely. So,
I hope that
what
didn't sound too harsh.
no, no, no. This is great. This is real, And I just want to read some of the comments because people are really engaging to which I really love. McNeil Griffith, I think I know who you are. If you know me and you're the right McNeil, say hello. I just want to know if it's you. But we need to give people space to do them while you do you. However, like you initially said, you gotta set boundaries, pull away from what's not for you, then let it go. I'm loving these ladies. No, absolutely. Oops. So, yeah.
Yeah, Jackie, please try these 7 steps. These 7 steps have definitely helped a lot of people. And I think Jackie, you did a cord cutting, and I believe that helped you. Um, this is in essence a part of cutting. Um, and with cord cutting, it's similar to letting go of a situation, um, diving deep into yourself, figuring out what it is that you need to move forward and not allow something from the past drag behind you. We all
Put
have
it,
luggage, we all have baggages, but you don't want those baggages to come into the next situation.
yeah. Some viewers may not know what cutting is, may not even heard of it before. So just for some of the viewers who never heard of what cord cutting, can you explain a little bit of how, also how it can be used to help you let go for forgiveness? Because that was one of the tools that I've used in my process of self-healing also.
Cord cutting, there's a lot of things on that. I do it differently from other
Okay.
people. I love doing it one-on-one, or I can do a group. Um, in essence, with cord cutting, you take a visual, which is basically a cord. You get a candle. I like to use black so that you can remove that negativity. And you tie the cord around the candle, and you go through this entire process, right? You write down the situation. You write down whether or not you can go through all 7 steps. If you can, great. Write everything out, and then burn the candle. If you cannot, give yourself that time. Some people have prematurely cut cords and they didn't go through the entire steps, and something comes up and it triggers them and they revert back to square one, which makes them feel helpless and somewhat agitated even more because they felt as though this should have worked when
Mm-hmm.
they didn't give themselves that time. Again, the patience with the time, that's a huge key to forgiveness.
Yeah.
It's a huge part of it.
And we do take it for granted, and we, especially if we go through very painful situations, we want to rush the process. And as we said, we premature towards, and it sometimes cause more harm to us than good because we were not ready to move on from the situations and stuff. So I was looking to see if anybody had any questions. Anybody has any specific questions about podcasting or anything else we've discussed about the different steps that we've mentioned, and if there's anything to add to it. So I think we can basically have answered most of the stuff that people are asking and stuff. So,
Okay,
so, yeah.
Jackie.
So anything else we could add to the discussion as to like how to let go? We've spoken about the 7 steps that we should use to forgive and then to let go. And to talk about some tools we can use, which is the cord cutting, and this one is the major tool. So what else do you think we should get into?
I want people to think that when you don't let go or you don't allow yourself to go through this forgiveness piece, that your trauma kind of acts like a vice grip on your
Mm.
emotions, a vice grip on your potential, right? And you don't want that vice grip controlling your entire life. So there's
You're
a
right.
lot of there's sorry.
No, I say you're right. Go ahead.
So there's a lot of work to do, but don't make it strenuous to the point where you become handicapped to the trauma. You know, some of us become handicapped to our trauma because we don't know where else to go or what to do. Um, and these 7 steps, some people might be far gone where
Mhm.
it won't help you. So you might definitely need to seek counsel of some sort or whatever. But um, trying these, working on yourself, being more mindful, you would definitely see a change and something will trigger into a better a better life for you, so to speak.
No, no, absolutely. And I just when you delve into forgiveness and letting go of things, you are faced with the most painful traumas of your life, and a lot of people, it's hard, as you said, to muster through it because it takes work, it takes effort. It's not going to magically disappear, and a lot of us are afraid to do that inner work that will drag us through the mud in order for us to get to the next side of the healing process. People, self-healing is not a nice process. It's a really hard and dirty process, you know. You have to come face to face with yourself, and self-acceptance for me is huge. Coming to the point of accepting yourself and then accepting that you are not defined by circumstances or even by what has happened, and you rise above it and say, you know what, and letting go is really for you in the end. It's like when you stop thinking about everybody else and you start thinking about what is going to get a level of self-respect that you never had for yourself, level of self-discipline, because now you are not putting your energy into all of those external things that are draining you. Now calling back all of your energy and you are now putting it into yourself. So when you are going through the healing process and you are going through the steps, take your time, be gentle with yourself, even if it takes you a whole year. depends on how deep the
Or
trauma
four.
is. Yes, or 4 years. Like I went through a 4 or 5 process myself, let him go. Especially when you have intimate, long-term times with people, it's very hard to just let go and, as you said, ghost them or forget them. You can do that sometimes, you may be okay. But a lot of times, because you go so deep with situation, if you don't do it properly, as you say, you always escalate it. And they come when you least expect. You'll be thinking you're happy here, thinking about your life, and bam, out of nowhere, somebody says the weirdest thing and it takes you down this rabbit hole. And then you're like, I thought I was okay, but already come, I'm like tripping over something. And I thought I was. So it's so important, as you say, Judith, take our time, be patient. And I love what you said. If you think you're not ready to go through the whole process, might as well take your time and warm up until you're able to go through the entire thing and get your healing in the end.
Definitely, because time is on your side, whether you believe it or not. Nothing happens before its time. So
No.
put put give yourself a little bit more love, you know, a lot more patience on your part for yourself to heal, and a lot more self-awareness that, you know what, it's going to be okay.
Mhm. No, I know we talk a lot about self-love, we talk about forgiveness and letting go, and maybe we should talk a little more about what self-love looks like. And a lot of people, when they think of self-love, they automatically think of only self-care and the act of self-care, like taking massages and all of those things. And I think with all of the discussions with self-love and self-care, I think we've lost translation sometimes when we don't see the difference between, when I say the difference, self-love is to care for yourself, but what does self-love means when it comes to self-forgiveness or forgiving others?
The part of self-love when it comes to forgiveness is that you're doing it for yourself. So definitely allowing yourself to forgive will ease your mind. You know, some
Mhm.
people get high blood pressure because of stress, because they're letting situations, you know, factor in their daily livelihood, right? So the self-care aspect of it is you definitely being more mindful that this cannot control you. You won't let it control you. You choose you at the end of the day, right? And you allowing yourself to be more um, forgiving on your part, so that your mental state doesn't go to, you know, it doesn't teeter down.
Mhm.
It's at a higher vibration. You're choosing boundaries. You're choosing self-respect. You're choosing self-awareness. You know, you're not allowing people to drag you through the mud or emotionally rape you or anything like that. So that's what that for that part. That's what the self-care in the forgiveness realm looks like.
Absolutely. And that's very important because, as I said, a lot of us, when we talk about self-love, we only think about doing certain things to make us feel better, but it goes deeper than that. It goes to the core of, as you said, self-respect. And a big part of forgiveness is first knowing your boundaries and respecting yourself and saying, you know what, big part of it is saying no. A lot of us, it's hard for us to say no, especially to the people that, and sometimes when we talk about forgiveness, we always think of it as people that are so far our enemies, or sometimes the people that are closest to us that we have those issues with, and it's so much difficult when we say to cut people off, because what if you live in a situation or in the same environment with someone that is, and you cannot, because of your circumstances, whether financial or otherwise, you cannot exit the situation, and you still have to find a way to form boundaries, and that becomes very, very difficult. And a lot of people find themselves in those types of circumstances, and they have to find a way to still take care of their mental health. And a part of the self-acceptance that we were talking about, we forget that a lot of our emotional issues manifest physically. So while we're not letting go, we forget about the illnesses that are manifested in our bodies, which trap all this pain, all of the anger, all of the stuff that we hold on, we refuse to let go of. We trap it in our bodies as different ailments, different, whether it's mental distress, whether it's a physical ailment, we trap it in our bodies, emotional pain. And so a big part of the forgiveness and letting go is also understanding that some of your illnesses or some of the physical ailments that you're going through is tied into you not forgiving something or someone. And you can't ignore that. So.
Definitely. I feel like we could definitely have a part two to this, because
Mm-hmm.
not forgiving does manifest into the body. It does create lumps. That's why some of us need massages. I do Reiki, so I did Reiki this morning on a beautiful client, and she was tense. Like, I mean, her shoulders were so close to the top of her neck that I just had to ease it down, ease it down. And some of us walk with this stress and pain for so long, it becomes part of us. And we don't realize that a small little adjustment can change our whole outlook. And
No, you're
it can manifest in your needs, it can manifest in your diet, it can manifest in how you treat other people, how
mm-hmm.
you speak to other people. So again, this form of forgiveness and the art of letting go is for you in essence, so that you can be a better person, healthier person, active person, bubbly person, versus, walking around with a grudge or your ego on your shoulder, telling you, oh, this person's not for me, or this is whatever, and this person's going to do the same thing that this other person did. It's all for you to allow and trust that it won't happen again, because you've already learned your lesson in essence.
No, you're right. Just talking about the physical ailments again, and just want to maybe talk about a personal experience. I strongly believe that that's what has happened to me. I have been managing depressive symptoms for a long time, and I've gotten so good to the point where I'm doing so much better. However, during the same time I was hitting depression, or I became very sick with depressive symptoms, I started getting a lot of body aches. And it was only last year I finally got a diagnosis called fibromyalgia, which is comorbid depression. When you do your research, most people with depression has fibromyalgia, or most people with fibromyalgia has depression. And when I started doing my own research and started observing my body through mindfulness and through meditation and everything else, I started to see the connection, because sometimes the triggers in my body, like I feel fire in my tendons and everything. And when I look at sometimes how my day is going, how much pressure I put myself under, I'm realizing sometimes the stress or whatever I'm going through mentally is directly tied into that physical pain that I am feeling on my body. And that just goes to show that sometimes we walk around with a lot of pain and unforgiveness and anger and emotions trapped within our physical bodies, not realizing that that's what's going on. And so when you start going through the self process and forgiving, you start to realize that the pain becomes less, and you start to feel better, and not even realizing that it's working hand in hand with each other.
Definitely. So your body does definitely tells you. I think we should definitely do a part two on this,
Okay.
because Instagram is going to kick us off in a minute.
Now,
But
already,
yeah, it's only an hour long and we got 30 seconds left. But I definitely I think we can continue part two next week.
okay, and then we're going to do the journaling, the poetry.
We
Okay.
can do, yep, definitely. So I truly enjoyed this one.
Yeah, me too. And I hope you guys enjoy too. Let us know if you enjoy this live, and if you're going to do part two next week, we could continue part two next week of that.
Definitely. And I'm going to save this on the Instagram IGTV, so you guys can catch the replay up on there.
And also, we wanted to save it so we could share it with our Facebook followers who have not been able to join us on those lives. We're working on it, soon, guys.
Definitely. Have a great night, everyone.
Thank you for joining. Bye, guys.
Bye.